Want to see one of the Koch brothers get begged for money by a real live sitting U.S. senator on tape? Want to?
I support the election and a ton. And it made a difference, and I could certainly use it again. Obviously, when
are you running for the next term?
12.
Oh, okay.
I'm in cycle right now, so we're already banging away.
Already banging away. Think Progress today posting that clip of Massachusetts Republican Senator Scott Brown, my senator, telling the real David Koch how important that Koch brothers' money was to him and how he could really, really, really use some more. Please. And the Koch brothers have, in fact, been very good to Senator Scott Brown. In November 2009, when Scott Brown's race was really the only impending Republican Senate race, David Koch gave just over $30,000 to the Republican Party's Senate Campaign Committee, the NRSC. The Brothers Koch Industries PAC gave the committee another $15,000 at that time, and they gave Mr. Brown's campaign $5,000 directly. The Koch Industries PAC has also given tens of thousands of dollars to another Republican Scott, to this guy, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker, which is probably why someone impersonating David Koch was able to get Governor Walker on the phone last month for 20 minutes in the middle of what was supposedly a very engrossing state budget crisis. Repercussions from that prank call to Governor Walker continue reverberating for the governor, not least because in that call he tipped his strategy. He explained how he would try to trick Democrats into coming back to the state capitol, thus affording the Senate a quorum to pass his union stripping thing. He also explained how he would use the threat of laying off state workers for its political effect. Well, now that prank call is giving Governor Walker a whole new headache. Wisconsin state Democrats have filed an ethics complaint over what Mr. Walker said to the guy he thought was David Koch, over what Governor Walker said to the man he believed was the oil billionaire who had funded his campaign. Specifically, they're raising ethical concerns about this part.
In the coming days and weeks and months ahead, particularly in some of these more swing areas, a lot of these guys are going to need, they don't necessarily need ads for them, but they're going to need a message out reinforcing why this was a good thing to do for the economy, a good thing to do for the state. So to the extent that that message is out over and over again, that's obviously a good thing.
Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker suggesting to the fake David Koch that the real David Koch should get out the message for Republicans, raising the idea of a little Koch-funded independent expenditure to support the state's Republican senators, particularly in swing districts. You know, that's the thing, though, about independent expenditures. If a politician suggests them, they are no longer independent. Wisconsin Democrats say Mr. Walker was not only illegally coordinating campaign expenditures in that moment, he was soliciting David Koch's financial help from the governor's office inside the state capitol. You are not supposed to solicit campaign contributions from your public office. You know, talking about the Koch brothers in 2011 is starting to feel a little bit like talking about Karl Rove in 2004. If you care about progressive politics or even just fair play in 2011, you really can't get away from the Koch brothers. They're becoming way too ubiquitous. Their names pop up in every scummy political scandal, one after another. From the Wisconsin union busting and the phony AstroTurf bus tours to the questionable partiality of America's Supreme Court justices, it feels like every time a really gross new political scandal erupts, big or small, there's the Koch brothers with the chair pulled up to the table. I do not want it to be true. I am sick of these guys already. But every time you turn over a political rock, there they are. Another example. The new Consumer Product Safety Commission database that was scheduled to go online this week. It is a no-brainer. It's an online searchable database the public can use to find out about safety concerns for household products. Like I said, sort of a no-brainer. It passed the House of Representatives unanimously in 2007. It passed the Senate by a mile. The legislation creating it was signed into law by George W. Bush to precisely zero controversy because, dear Lord, who is going to object to consumer product safety information being put online? This guy will. The Vote American slogan here has to do with the fact that Mike Pompeo was running against an Indian American opponent in the last election. Vote American, even though the other guy's American too, or he wouldn't be able to run, but you know what I mean. Mike Pompeo was elected thanks in large part to his largest campaign contributors, the Koch brothers and their PAC. Koch Industries is based in Mr. Pompeo's district in Wichita. after the Koch brothers spent many, many thousands of dollars lobbying on the issue of that dastardly consumer product safety database. Suddenly, America found one congressman who was willing to try to kill it. Mike Pompeo, Republican of Koch brothers. Kansas. Mr. Pompeo has tried to spike this database. The Kansas City Star reporting today that it looks like he will fail in those efforts, but I'm sure the men upstairs appreciate his efforts anyway. I do not want to keep talking about the Koch brothers. Really, I do not. I always want to say it's Koch because of the way it's spelled. They're awkward. They're boring. I'm not interested in talking about them. I don't want to keep putting their names in the spotlight. But, dude, these guys are earning it every single day. Joining us now is Eugene Robinson, MSNBC political analyst, Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist for The Washington Post. Gene, it is great to see you.
Great to be here, Rachel.
Are Koch Industries and the Koch brothers earning this reputation they're getting like I think they are? I mean, I am prepared to be told that they're sort of just boogeymen and they're being blamed for more than they are responsible for.
Rachel, they're out there working for you every single day. And look, the difference between the Koch brothers and Karl Rove or Lee Atwater or others who may have played a villain role is that these are the money guys. These are the guys with all the money in the world. These are the guys who own the biggest private company or second biggest, depending on how you calculate it, in the country. Their combined personal fortune is third to that of Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. So you have not heard the last of the Koch brothers.
And does that explain the timing? Because we have entered in the post-Citizens United universe into an era in which there really are unlimited horizons in terms of what money can buy you in politics. I mean, they've been politically active for a long time, but they really have turned it up to 11. They really are doing a lot more than they used to be doing. Does that explain the timing?
That partly explains the timing. Everyone has cottoned on to the Koch brothers. They did a lot of stuff for a while that we didn't really hear about. It's not that they just turned libertarian. One of them founded the Cato Foundation. The others founded Americans for Prosperity. They've been out there working. It's just that we're paying attention, frankly. And yes, they are doing more.
Are we, because people are sort of cottoning to them, are we getting to the point that a Koch brothers endorsement starts being a liability for either candidates or causes that they endorse?
I don't think we're quite there. We could get there. I think some candidates, for example, now Scott Brown in a state like Massachusetts, that's embarrassing to him. That's a problem, I think, given that he has to run in essentially a blue state. For other candidates, it wouldn't be a problem. I frankly think the Koch brothers would be just as happy to kind of fade into the background and let their money do the talking and not be out front at all.
I think that's maybe what has changed, that they were able to successfully sort of keep everything quiet about them. They've been convening these major donor conservative strategy sessions, whatever, for years, and it was sort of you sort of knew about them vaguely in a conspiratorial sense, but it was very behind the scenes, and now all of a sudden it's not. They seem very angry about that. But I do wonder if that means that they can marginalize criticism of them as always being liberal and therefore hysterical.
I think they can try. But I think what people have to do is look at what they're actually doing. And now, it wasn't a real Koch brother talking to Governor Scott Walker, for example. It was a fake Koch brother. But I think people will start looking at things like independent expenditures and that sort of in connection with the Koch brothers, because now that we know they're doing all this stuff, let's see if it's all on the up and up. Even post-Citizens United, there are rules.
Congressman Pompeo has a long history with the Koch brothers. They not only helped him get elected, they helped him get rich by investing in a firm that he founded. Do we yet have a sense of sort of who the Koch brothers caucus is in Congress? Obviously, Mike Pompeo is the chairman. Scott Brown is a ranking member. But are there others that are sort of, we're getting a sense of who they influence?
I don't think we certainly don't have a full sense. But I think we'll be trying to put together that database and maybe even put it online someday, along with that other database that they want to keep offline. That's an amazing
Consumer product
story.
Safety.
We can't have that. We can't have that,
well,
Rachel.
The Koch brothers say we can.
Not absolutely. Absolutely. Well, now you understand.
Eugene Robinson, MSNBC political analyst, Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist for The Washington Post. It's great to see you, Gene.
Great to be here, Rachel.